Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever you're listening to this, guess what? Colts won. This is
America
uh,
won.
America won. Welcome to the Educated Fan. My name is Brandon. I'm your host, and I'm joined here by your co-host, my best friend, Andrew Moore, who is back home from the journey to the Mecca for the Colts home opener after a beautiful win. How's it going, bud?
Man, it's always a lot more enjoyable to make the drive home from Indy after a Colts win than a Colts loss. What a performance! I mean, we're going to talk about everything that happened in the game, the good, the bad, but just a dominant performance overall by the Colts. And it was good to be one of the 2,500 in Lucas Oil Stadium today. It was great to be back, mask and all.
So, Andrew, since you were there, obviously only the second week, and out of all the stadiums so far that have allowed players, I think 2,500 is probably the least. I think today there's only 4 or 5 stadiums that had any fans allowed. So go ahead and explain what the game day experience was like today.
Man, it was weird. That it was, I guess, surreal is the best word I can put for to describe it. Um, Me and my buddy got there around 10:30 this morning. All the parking lots were pretty much empty. There was no tailgating really to be seen. I think we saw one group tailgating about 5 or 6 blocks away from the stadium. Uh, you go up to the stadium entrance, they take your temperature, and then it's all socially distanced where they're checking your bags and everything. Have to have your mask on, and then once you get into the stadium, they had marked off where everyone could stand to get in. For concessions, not all concessions were open. The hallways and the concourse were divided, so if you were going one way, you had to stay on one side of the line. If you were going the other way, the other side. And it was just weird because only 2,500 people in that stadium that can fit 67,000. um I mean, number one, in the stadium, it was very quiet when music wasn't playing or stuff wasn't going on the speakers. But Indy in general was just a ghost town. It did not seem like game day. It just felt like a regular Sunday. If you don't follow the NFL, you might not even know that there was a Colts game that day, honestly. So it was very weird. Glad that I was able to take part and be inside Lucas Oil Stadium for the home opener. Next weekend, the Colts are allowing 7,500 fans in Lucas Oil, so about tripling the fans. So that should make the atmosphere a little bit better. But the fans there, the Colts fans there, were cheering. Everybody was wearing masks. The security was making sure everybody was wearing masks and following the rules. So that's good if we want to get more fans back in Lucas Oil and hopefully get up to about 25% capacity by the end of the year. But it was just great to be back, honestly.
And I'll be one of those 7,500 people there next weekend, sitting almost exactly where Andrew was sitting today.
I'll be there as well.
Fingers crossed that I get to go to my first game with the roof open and the window.
My guess is probably they're going to open the roof and the window as much as they can this year.
Yeah, I would think so, especially because we don't have a, greatest of all time kicker or quarterback saying, "Hey, Jim, you better leave that bad boy closed for me today." But yeah, let's get right into it. Colts Vikings. What a win. Colts win 28-11. And you mentioned earlier, Andrew, that it was a dominant performance. And I went into last week thinking that we couldn't just, we didn't just have to beat Jacksonville, but we really needed to have a dominant performance. And obviously neither one of those things happened. But a team that I thought we could beat in the Vikings. Never imagined that we dominate them like we did. I think we had a better game against them than, Aaron Rodgers did up in Minnesota last weekend.
I would say as a whole team effort, I think we played better than.
I'm
than
not
the
saying
Packers.
Phil played better than Aaron Rodgers, but I mean we dominated the Vikings by more than the Packers did.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it starts with the defense. The defense was, I think I texted this to you multiple times. The defense was outstanding. That's the word I
So
can think
good.
of for it. I really think they took it personal how bad they got beat against Jacksonville. And I wish I could have talked about it more on the show later in the week. I mean, I watched some of the game over again and watched some of the film, and it really wasn't. I mean, some of it was the scheme that they were playing, but a lot of it was the players just didn't execute. And today they did. The cornerbacks were up and being very aggressive on the wide receivers, not giving them much room to breathe. The defensive line was all over the place, really pressuring Kirk Cousins, not giving him too much time to throw. The linebackers were all over the place. Darius Leonard making plays. Kenny Moore was flying around the ball. The Colts only allowed 11 points total, which I think was best this week so far. 3 interceptions of Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
You like that?
You like that, Kirk?
Three sacks of Kirk Cousins.
113 passing yards.
Yeah. 3 sacks of Kirk Cousins, one which ended up as a safety. Cousins himself was only 11 of 26 on the day. 175 total yards, 113 passing, and really the running game was non-existent. We talked about it in the preview, how the offense needs to run through Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook was someone to watch. He never got going all day. He had a garbage time touchdown there at the end, but other than that, the Vikings were out of sync. The Colts never let them get into a rhythm, never really let them do anything. And it was just a more aggressive and the defense that I was expecting at the start of the year.
Sure.
And it's good to see that came out this week.
Well, and after that first possession that the Jags had to start off the game, I wasn't so sure. Everybody kind of looked slow off the ball. I was kind of watching Buckner this week because, we didn't hear his name get called. I wasn't super impressed with his performance, especially that first drive. But things turned around, obviously, after our interception, or was it an interception? Yeah, it was the interception that gave the Vikings such terrible field position. And on that second defensive series, everything just seemed to turn around, and that kind of set the tone the rest of the game. I was astounded. An interception turned into what seemed to be the start of a really, really great rest of the game.
Yeah, and with Buckner, he's not. There's going to be times where he doesn't fill up the stat sheet, and I don't think that's really his role anyway. He's not going to be the guy that gets 16, 17 sacks, and is constantly blowing up every play. He's there to while he is going to be a game changer and he's going to make those plays, he's going to eat double teams. And most of the entire game, he was getting double teamed, and that leaves Justin Houston one-on-one, which allowed him to get half a sack. Buckner had 1.5 sacks today. Tyquan Lewis was able to get back in there for a sack. It just Danico Autry was constantly pressuring, and he was in there, I think, on the safety play that Buckner and it might have been Al-Qadim Muhammad as well. Those guys, they were able to get in Kirk Cousins' face and really, really pressure him today. And I think part of that was they were getting off so great and just dominating on the line. But at the same time, those quick passes that kept happening last week, they were eating us alive. Week. So Xavier Rhodes was doing well. Kenny Moore was all over the place. TJ Carey, who had an interception.
TJ Carey had a great football game.
He was doing great. And I mean, you don't forget about the safeties. Malik Hooker before he went out. Kari Willis had an interception. Julian Blackman, props to Julian Blackman in his first game, just coming out and playing like an absolute dog. He was in on quite a few pass breakups, some good tackles. He's
the one that got his hands up and put hands on the ball for that interception for Kari Willis.
Yep, absolutely. So
he played incredible football.
The secondary played great today, and that was just so refreshing to see. And something I noticed with Rock Ya-Sin out today, the Colts played a lot more base defense. They had their 3 linebackers on the field a lot more than they were playing in the nickel. So they had Rhodes and Moore outside, but then they would have Okereke in there instead of like a slot corner to pair with Leonard and Anthony Walker. And that really gave Minnesota trouble because they saw those three linebackers, and Kirk Cousins checked out of a couple runs into some passes. But with Leonard and Okereke so good in the open field and in pass coverage, they were still able to cover him without any issues. So just just an incredible turnaround by the defense. Again, it's the defense that I was expecting to see from the very beginning, and it's really what led the Colts to this victory today. It was outstanding.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up on the defense, more want to talk about Minnesota's offense. Kirk Cousins, QBR of 9.1, passer rating of 15.9. Not good. That's
Not
tough.
good.
You'd think it was a primetime game for Kirk. They did mention, and obviously you didn't hear this being at the game, but the announcers were talking about how it appeared that Kirk was just constantly trying to feed Adam Thielen the ball and that he was the security blanket and the Colts just weren't having it. And it appeared that way. I mean, he was constantly trying to get Thielen the ball and not a lot of smart throws to Thielen. Just didn't work out for Mr. Kirk Cousins this week against the Colts defense.
Yeah.
Now,
I think you said it great that he was trying to feed Thielen and the secondary shut it down. It was great.
yeah, he just looked like he didn't want to throw the ball to anybody else on the team. It was pretty one-dimensional and surprising from a guy like Kirk. Now, offensively, boy, did we run that damn ball.
151 yards rushing. Jonathan Taylor came in. I think it seems like he had 20 carries before half almost or something.
So
like
many.
That. He 26 carries for 101 yards, and the boy got his first TUD of his NFL career. Congrats to Jonathan Taylor on that. Just a bowling ball in there. The offensive line came to work. I think Frank Reich.
Thanks, Jonathan Taylor.
I think Frank Reich really wanted to focus on running the ball. He said we need to run the ball more, and we got back to smash mouth football. This is kind of what I had envisioned as well. It's kind of how the offense was run when Andrew Luck was here towards the end of 2018 when we had that winning streak. The Colts ran the ball, the offensive line went to eat, and then when Phillip Rivers had to pass and make plays, he did that. So Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines wasn't used as much, but then Jordan Wilkins. How about Jordan Wilkins coming in as that change of pace back and just picking up first down after first down when Jonathan Taylor needed a break? I think you mentioned it that Jordan Wilkins is for a fourth quote unquote fourth string running back. Damn good for a fourth string running back.
Damn good.
You're 100% right on that. He comes in and I think his career, he averages almost 5 yards a carry.
He does. It's insane.
Yeah. So the running backs are great. Offensive line went to town and we ran the damn ball and look what happened. Got the dub.
Now, I know a lot of it is because of our offensive line, but how often do you see a guy that averages almost 5 yards a carry not being the starter on a football team? Now, I noticed the absence of Nyheim Hines today, as well as my fantasy team noticed the absence of Nyheim Hines today. Do you think that's because, we weren't doing as much check downs to the running backs on passing plays, and Nyheim seems to be the go-to guy for that, or what? Any insight there or thoughts on that?
Before that, my girlfriend noticed that as well on her fantasy team, and she texted me during the game, go tell the Colts to give the ball to Hines more. And I was like, yeah, I'll get right on. But anyways, I just think it was because Jonathan Taylor was moving the ball so well. I mean, Nyheim Hines was in there on plenty of plays, and he was an option on plenty of pass plays. But I think the Vikings did a very good job of making sure. I mean, they saw how much Nyheim was fed in that first game, and they really paid a lot of attention to him. They made sure that he was being shadowed by a linebacker on almost every single pass play, but that allowed the middle of the field to be open, and you put a slower guy, because you're going to want to have your fast linebacker on Nyheim Hines who can run a 4.3 and just absolutely burn you. That allowed guys in the middle of the field to really go to work, like Mo Alley Cox. Besides that drop early, I mean, he had a monster game. So I think it just opened things up. The flat wasn't or the backs out of the flat weren't as open as what they were last week. So it's not like how they just completely went away from it. Jonathan Taylor was moving the ball. They really wanted to.
Nyheim Hines did not run the ball one time.
Right.
He had 0 rushes.
He had 1 catch for like 4 yards or something.
Yep, that's it.
It was in the middle of the field. So I don't think it was by design. I think they definitely would like to get the ball to Nyheim more, but I mean, Frank Reich's going to go with the hot hand, and Jonathan Taylor was moving the sticks. The Colts were rolling. So stick with the hot hand, and they were having success that way. Why change it?
And Jonathan Taylor, first Indianapolis Colt to rush for over 100 yards. I believe this is the stat that I read. To rush for over 100 yards since 2012. Vic Ballard.
First rookie?
Yeah.
For rookies.
Running back? Yep.
Man, old Vic Ballard. What could have been with him?
No joke. He could have been good. Can you believe Jonathan Taylor's longest run was 13 yards? Didn't it seem like he had a couple that felt like huge gaps?
He did, and I think there were some holes where I saw it. I was like, oh, man, if he would have just hit that hole, he probably could have broken it for a bigger game. But at the same time, it's his first game starting in the NFL. That's going to take time to develop, and I think he'll get there. I mean, he's on pace for 1,500 yards rushing if he keeps this up. So not a bad debut or starting debut for Jonathan Taylor. And I think this just segues into our next point. The rookies in general, man. They were all over the place, and they were making plays. Michael Pittman Jr. just constantly moving the chains. You see that one catch where he had bobbled or got tipped, and he bobbled it, and just his long arms brought it in.
Yep.
We talked about Julian Blackmon a little bit earlier. He I don't even know if he was expected to be active today, but with Rock
I had no idea. I didn't expect to see him playing.
With Rock Ya-Sin going down, I think maybe that's why he was active, to just get another defensive back in there. And then Malik Hooker ends up going down in the middle of the game, and Blackmon has to play pretty much the entire second half, and he was great. He played great at 9 months removed from an ACL tear, and the kid's out there playing starting quality football in the NFL. Great to see. Isaiah Rodgers came in when Xavier Rhodes went down with cramps, and he held his own against Adam Thielen. And then the hot rod going 4 for 4 on field goals today. All these rookies
with the window open.
Yeah, with the roof and the window open, and when you sit on that end with the window open, it's like a swirl in there how the wind goes. So the hot rod came through time after time again. Just a big credit to Chris Ballard and the scouting department of finding these guys, and putting them in the positions to succeed. They played exceptional today.
Yeah, I agree. Especially Michael Pittman Jr. I think Paige went Pittman a couple times because she knows how excited we've been to have that guy on the team, and she's got him on our bench on a fantasy team, but she's just waiting. She's on the prowl, waiting for his big breakout game.
With Paris Campbell going down, I think Pittman's going to get a lot more snaps here in the very near future. So,
right, I agree. And speaking of people going down, we got Trey Burton out, Jack Doyle out, and Mo Alley Cox decides to step up big. He's not the only person. Jonathan Taylor's not the only guy that stepped up to the occasion when they unexpectedly became number one this week.
Right. It definitely didn't start out well. On that quick slant to the end zone, Phil rifled in a perfect pass that hit Mo Alley Cox right in the chest, and I didn't really see a good replay on it. It was right in front of me, and I don't know if the linebacker got his hand on it or anything, but it got tipped up into an interception. I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. But Mo Alley Cox, I saw Zach Kiefer tweet, Mo Alley Cox is doing his best Dallas Clark impression. And I mean, he goes out there and catches 5 balls for 111 yards.
That's awesome.
Just he took advantage of his opportunity, and he really showed why the Colts are so high on him. I mean, he made some great catches, some great over the shoulder catches. That one in the red zone where he basically twisted his body and just went up and snagged the ball out of the air. That was beautiful. So Mo Alley Cox, I mean, last year we didn't really see him much because he had his broken thumb. He couldn't really contribute in the passing game, but he's an absolute weapon, and he's a big dude. So the Colts would love to use him more. And I think you saw today the potential and what he's capable of. And he's just another reliable target, and a reliable option for Phillip Rivers.
Well, and I think I saw a statement today that, he believes he is, a starting level tight end in the NFL. And I agree with the way he looked today. I'd have to agree with that. But yeah, on that interception, that was that was Mo's fault. He's just got to extend his hands out and catch the ball with his hands instead of trying to get it in the chest.
Right.
But I mean, that was a rifle right in there too, so just terrible luck there. But speaking of Rivers, super, super good game by Phillip Rivers. Doesn't bounce off the stat sheet. But he still was about 76% accuracy. And then that one interception, not his fault, and a touchdown. Super accurate. What else do you think about Rivers?
Rivers Bentos question mark. I
Oh.
think Whitlock Ben wrong.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. Rivers played great. He wasn't forcing it. The one time he did force it was to TY, and it ended up being a penalty. And luckily that came back. But at the same time, Rivers was taking what the defense was giving him. He was very accurate. He dropped a ball right into the breadbasket for T.Y. Hilton, who ended up dropping it, which sucks. T.Y. didn't look great today again, but we'll talk about that in a second. Phil, he did what he needed to do, and this is what I think the Colts want him to do. They don't need him to go out there and throw the ball 50 times for 350, 400 yards. They just need him to move the chains, be just a little bit better than Brissett was last year. He took care of the ball. He was very accurate. He got it into his playmakers' hands. He checked to the right protections. And you see what happens when we have a Phillip Rivers that makes all the right moves, takes care of the ball, like I said, and it's winning football for the Colts. And I hope that this continues. I think it can, as long as we can keep a running game going. And I think he's just going to get more comfortable with his receivers as time goes on too. So maybe those passes that are a little off timing wise, that's just going to get better. The more games we play, the more practices we have, the later the season goes along. But Rivers was great. He did exactly what he needed to for the Colts to win. And now the Colts do need to get better in the red zone. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. But overall, great day for Phil.
Sure. And before we move on to our next subject here, I did want to point out how well the offensive line played. I mean, we haven't really mentioned that. We talked about the running game, but a lot of that, that comes from the offensive line. Not only run blocking, but also pass protection. The Colts offensive line gave up 2 QB hits today. Two. Joel Erickson tweeted that out earlier. And Costanzo gave up that sack to Ngakoue. That's like his first sack allowed in 18 games or so.
Oh wow!
And I think the snap probably just caught him off guard.
Well, and Ngakoue is a great pass rusher too. Sometimes they're going to win those. That just happens. So you hit it right on the head. Offensive line, fantastic today.
All right, so moving along to injuries. Rocky Sin kind of surprised us right before the game. That he was inactive. I think I got the notification about an hour before the game started.
Yeah, he was inactive with an illness, and then we found out that it was like a stomach bug. He is being evaluated at a local hospital. That's all really the information that we've been given. So I mean, you hope Rock's okay. He doesn't have a fever. I heard that, so it's not something with COVID that we at least we think. But I mean, hope Rock's okay, and it definitely sucks that we didn't have him today. Thank goodness the rest of the secondary and the defense stepped up when he was out. But hopefully he's okay and he can return to the facility this week. So thinking about him.
Right. Paris Campbell looked like a nasty knee injury.
Yeah.
Looked bad. I'm hoping it's not tears. Dislocation would be fine. I don't know if you remember, but that's the injury that Patrick Mahomes had last year. That was just a dislocated kneecap, and the dude came back in 2 weeks. Now, he came back too early, and you could tell that he was back too early, but that'd be much better news than the tears that I'm expecting to hear about.
Yeah, they didn't even show the replay at Lucas Oil Stadium, and when they do that, it's bad.
Yeah, we saw it at home.
Yeah,
twice.
So you could hear him screaming on the field from where I was sitting.
God.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And you just feel for the kid. I mean, think about all the injuries last year, and they were all just like freak injuries. They weren't anything that he like put himself in harm's way, I should say. And this one, just another one, just gets hit real hard on the knee. And he had a great first game in Jacksonville, and I think that was going to continue today as well. And it just sucks because the kid works so hard, and he was fully healthy for once, and we were able to see last week what a healthy Paris Campbell can do for this offense.
Yeah, it was like he was Phillip Rivers' favorite man on the planet.
Right. So, I mean, the Frank Reich said after the game, they don't know the severity of it quite yet. Um, but man, it just sucks. We can hope for the best and hope nothing is torn. Hope that everything comes back good. He only misses a couple weeks rather than the season. But prayers up to Paris Campbell for sure.
Russell Wilson just threw a pick six.
Well, there goes my MVP pick.
Well, it wasn't his fault. It went off somebody's hands, and the corner for the Patriots just ran it in. So that's a good start to my night. I've got Russell Wilson on my fantasy team. So you know what? You know what though?
Anyway,
you know what though? I'll tell you what went real well this weekend was my bets. Okay, my bets were on point. I won probably $300 this weekend. So bad beat that.
There we go.
Moving on, sorry. Malik Hooker, Achilles, I guess. I didn't, honestly, because Blackman was playing so well, apparently I didn't even notice that Hooker was out of the game.
Yeah, I think that he didn't. Blackman started the second half in place of Hooker. They didn't say it was torn. They just said he had an Achilles injury, so we'll definitely have to hear about that later this week.
Matthew Adams, ankle. He did something early in the game.
Yeah, he injured himself on a special teams play, and I think that's what.
That's when it happened. Yeah. You're right. Okay, Xavier Rhodes, just cramps. I mean, drink some water, dude. Eat a banana before the game.
That's what they said, but he didn't come back to the game, so I don't know if it was more than cramps, but he never returned. So, a lot of injuries for the Colts, but definitely around the league as well. We'll talk about that.
Before we move on, yep.
Yeah. Now we talked about all the good things. Now there are still some things that the Colts do need to clean up. Red zone efficiency was number one. Time and time again, they'd get down in the end zone and the drives would just stall. Blankenship comes out there and kicks a field goal. Now at halftime, it was 15-3. And I think I texted you that it could have been 29-3 at that point.
Yep.
So that's definitely something they need to work on, especially when we get to playing like Baltimore, Green Bay, Tennessee, the really good teams on our schedule. And then third down efficiency as well. We only went 3 of 11 on third down today. That's got to be better. So even though we did dominate and had a really good game against the Vikings, there's still plenty of things for the team to clean up. And I think that's encouraging as well, that even with a performance like this, the team can still be better. So that's something that we still need to work on. But overall, hey, great performance by the Colts, and good to get a W and in the win column.
Absolutely, I agree. Looking forward to next week when we play
the Jets.
The Jets, and I'll be there. That's right, Jets. So move it on to games around the league. Andrew, it's been some crazy football so far these 2 weeks, and I don't know how good anybody is.
That's normally how the first 2 weeks in the NFL go, brother.
So we're as good as the Green Bay Packers, but we're not as good as the Titans or the Jaguars. The Texans suck. I don't know.
Chiefs, the Chiefs almost lost to the Chargers. So
how good are the Chargers? How good are the Bengals?
The Bears are 2-0.
The Bears are 2-0. I didn't pick I picked the Giants this week. I was wrong. This is the first time the Bears have been 2-0 since 2012. It's a good year so far.
When Smoking Jay Cutler was the quarterback?
Oh, yeah, buddy. Jay Cutler's the man.
Ripping cigs and slinging the pill?
Did you ever see his soon-to-be or current ex-wife's Instagram post announcing that they were separating? And she does this big, long explanation like, please, and then at the end puts, please respect our privacy as we go through these tough times. I'm like, you posted it on Instagram for the world to see. I don't understand. Okay, but let's move it along. Thursday night, the Browns beat the Bengals 35-30. Did you get that pick wrong? Did you pick the Browns or the Bengals?
I picked the Browns and everyone else picked the Bengals.
Yeah, so, cool Joe Burrow.
Tip your cap to me. Joe Burrow is going to be, I mean, we already thought he was going to be. That just proved he's going to be something in this league.
They got to start protecting that boy.
I tweeted that night. I said, dear Bengals, you have your young franchise quarterback. Do everything in your power to protect him. Sincerely, a traumatized Colts fan.
Right. And the running game from the Browns that night just off the wall. I dropped Kareem Hunt in my fantasy team that day. Wow, Andrew, you sounded almost just like that. Cowboys Falcons, holy shit.
So I missed this one. You're going to have to tell me about it.
The end of this game was absurd. So the Falcons are literally just beating the hell out of the Cowboys, okay? But you know the Falcons, they hate winning football games. So they had to find a way to let Dallas get back into this game. So Dak had 2 rushing touchdowns. Zeke, I think, had 1. I mean, the Cowboys just came back from down, and then the Falcons go down, score. You think it's over, and then the Cowboys manage to score and then recover an onside kick, which, by the way, I've never seen a person onside the ball the way that who does their kickoff, Zerline?
I think so.
Okay, never seen a guy kick. He literally didn't walk up to it. He stood right next to it, just lifted his leg and popped it. And it was just laying flat on the ground sideways, Kate, and he did this spinny thing, so it was like a UFO. And the Falcons players just stood there and watched the ball. It was like they thought they weren't allowed to touch the ball until it passed 10 yards too.
Maybe they did.
That's what it looked like. They just stood there and they're standing over. There's 3 guys that could have fallen on the ball before it got to 10 yards, and the Cowboys never would have touched it. So of course the Cowboys get it, and they go down, they score and win the game. Okay, I can't help it. That game was wild. Bills Dolphins, that was a close one. Bills edged that one out, win by 3. Bears win. Steelers beat the Broncos 26-21. That was a good game. The quarterback, Drew Lock, went out in the second quarter with a shoulder injury, first quarter maybe.
Yep.
And Jeff Driscoll, baby, he almost pulled one off.
That would have been cool if he would have.
It would have been. Packers mollywhopped the Lions 42-21. Titans Jaguars was so close. And I think you've got 31-33 here. It was 30.
It was 30. That's my fat fingers.
Jaguars almost won that one. So Jags might be something. That was in Tennessee.
I sure hope so, because man, I do not want Trevor Lawrence in the AFC South.
I sure as hell don't want Trevor Lawrence in the AFC South. Well, you never know. Maybe Houston will get him. Rams 37, Eagles 18. That was kind of surprising.
Eagles didn't look good from the replay the replays
right.
They were showing in the stadium.
Well, the Rams went off to an early lead. Eagles caught up. Rams went off to another second lead. 49ers controlled the Jets the whole game, 31-13. Buccaneers, same thing, 31-17 against the Panthers. Cardinals.
Brady gets his first win in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, don't care. They really didn't look great in the second half, honestly, because it was they were up by a lot in the first half. Cardinals 30, Washington 15. Kyler Murray, I got to send you this tweet that has in it, piss missile down the field for one of the best catches I've seen in probably the last year, and nobody's talking about it. I mean, just a hose on this dude. He threw the ball 55 yards in the air over the shoulder right on the sideline.
Kyler Murray looking like that second year MVP trend might continue. We'll have to see.
And who was my pick for MVP?
Kyler Murray.
Yep, that'd be Kyler Murray. Let's see. We've got Chiefs Chargers. That was a close one. Overtime. So how good are the Chargers? Okay, so let's start here. Chargers come out for the opening drive of the game, and Justin Herbert's on the field. Surprise. Tyrod Taylor apparently, I don't know if it was pregame or what, some kind of a chest injury or rib injury, and they thought maybe he'd be able to go, and he couldn't. But I don't think he was listed as questionable or anything. He was talking to the media apparently about being excited about being a starter again. Well, guess what, bud? Your injury is going to be the cause of you losing your job again. I don't know how you don't let Justin Herbert, who threw a touchdown pass, rushed one in the first half, takes the Chiefs, the best team in the NFL, right, to overtime. I don't know how you don't let that guy start next week.
I was watching the game on Red Zone on the way home, and I mean, Justin Herbert looks ready. So
he does.
I think, it's going to be tough for Anthony Lynn and the Chargers to not put Herbert in and just let him go. He looked great And he's only going to get better. I mean, he had a couple rookie mistakes. I know he had a pick that I saw that was pretty bad, but at the same time, I mean, he looked good, and he looks
Did he?
like he can be. He looks like he can be something special. So, yeah, he got picked in the red zone, I thought, by the rookie Chiefs corner. So, but yeah, are the Chargers good? They certainly looked like it, and they definitely gave the Chiefs a run for their money. So good for Justin Herbert. I think he's gonna be, like I said, I think he's gonna be something special, and he certainly showed those qualities today.
Now, the Chiefs did edge it out with a field goal in overtime. Let's see. Bucker kicks one from 53. It's good, but there was a false start. Bucker kicks one from 58, and it's good, but they tried to ice him, called timeout, and Buckner hits the game winner from 58 yards.
One hell of a kicker.
To win by 3. Very good. Ravens 33, Texans 16. Ravens good, Texans stank.
Yep, that pretty much seals it for them. So
injuries around the league. So I think this is what's going on here. Nobody was in great conditioning. So then after week 1, everybody's kind of beat up. They're not recovering as well because their bodies just aren't used to it. So week 2, they're getting thrown back into the fire before maybe their bodies are ready, and got a lot of injuries this week.
Yeah, I mean, in the Colts game alone, there were a ton. But then I get out of the Colts game and I check and see what's going on around the league, what's going on, and not good at all.
Oh man, I didn't know about Jimmy G. We'll get to the 49ers in a second, but Giants fear Saquon Barkley tore his ACL, and it looked bad. He was on the cart, pounding his fist down, very upset.
And that's a huge part of their offense. That helps Danny Dimes take some pressure off of him. And now that Saquon's not there, they still almost came back and beat the Bears. But I mean, one of the best running backs in the league. You hate to see it.
Yeah, you do. That's just bad for football. 49ers, 4 huge injuries. Defensive end Nick Bosa hurt his knee, possibly tore his ACL as well. He'll probably be done for the year. Defensive tackle Solomon Thomas, knee. I don't really know severity there. I didn't know about Jimmy G or Raheem Mostert. High ankle sprain.
Jimmy G came out and he was Nick Mullins replaced him. So if it's a bad enough high ankle sprain, I mean, he could miss a couple weeks for sure. And then Raheem Mostert, their starting tailback, possible MCL injury. So 4 big time players for the 49ers hit with pretty severe injuries today.
Right. But if you remember, Mullins came in a couple years ago and had a game played a game-winning game. He's Brett Favre's best friend or something now too. I don't know. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey ankle. Hopefully he doesn't miss any time.
He's got an MRI tomorrow to figure out the severity of it, but he didn't return to the game.
Nope. Broncos QB didn't return to the game. Sprained AC joint. That's not fun. I'll tell you personally, out 2 to 6 weeks. That's tough for the Broncos. This is a good team, and they just can't catch a break.
Yeah. Drew Lock, I mean, he was looking good too. I think he's definitely is their quarterback of the future. And then I didn't put this one with it, but I'll put it with it. And then Cortland Sutton left the game because of his knee. So he's been banged up all year too. So
he was embarrassed because a ball went right through his 2 hands wide open. So he decided he had to pretend to be hurt. I would have too. Packers wide receiver Devontae Adams went out with a hamstring. Did he return?
I don't know. Okay. I just saw that he had an hamstring injury. I don't know if he returned or not.
I didn't really watch much of that game because it was just an ass whooping. Broncos did that. Rams running back Cam Akers. What's Rob's?
Ribs. My fat fingers again. He hurt his ribs, so I deserve that one. Hurt his ribs, so he didn't return either.
Okay. Vikings linebacker Anthony Barr. Good for us today.
Yeah.
It's fine, but hopefully he feels better soon. Other news around the league. Tariq Cohen agrees to a 3-year, $17.25 million extension with the Bears.
So
I didn't think they like good running backs.
Apparently they do. So I think he had a pretty good game today. That's from my girlfriend. I don't know if that actually happened or not, but now they just need to work on getting Allen Robinson extended as well. So that way Mitch has all of his weapons.
All right. That's it for the league today. Colts player of the game, Andrew Moore. Who you picking?
The entire defense, my guy, the entire defense deserves this one. After just getting their ass whooped last week against Jacksonville, they came out and dominated. We already went through the stats. Only allowed 11 points, 175
7 of
total
those were
yards.
garbage points, or 8 of those
Right.
they went for 2.
Right. 3 picks, one by Kari Willis, TJ Carey on the Hail Mary, and then Kenny Moore making an absolute diving interception. It could have been more. There were some that were very, very close that they could have had as well. 3 sacks on the day. Buckner had a sack and a half. Tyquan Lewis continued right from his strong camp, and he's got a sack. And then Justin Houston got the other half sack with Buckner. And then 1 safety on the day too. So defense absolutely outstanding. If we can play like this every week and keep it up, we're definitely going to have a top 10 defense, probably top 5 defense in the league. And the league better watch out if that's the case. I have honorable mention on here of the rookies because so many of them played well, specifically Jonathan Taylor, 26 carries, 101 yards and a touchdown. Looks like the Colts running back room and running back situation is in good hands. Even though Marlon Mack went down, Jonathan Taylor proved that he's going to be a stud in this league. So that's the Colts players of the game.
All right, guys, that's it. Time to go watch a couple of teams that I don't like play each other, try to figure out who I want to win, who I want to lose. I need Russell Wilson to do well, so I guess we're going to go for the Seahawks tonight. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. Go Colts. Glad we got our win. Please go follow us on on our social media. It's going to be at the Eh-Ducated Fan. That's at TheEHDucatedFan. Not spelling it again. Did that one without the paper. Look at me go. I'm a big boy. But yeah, that's it, guys. We will talk to you in a few days. Have a good day.
Go Colts. Peace.
I fucking love football and I love you guys.